Yo, Democrats, so if Somalians can't make Somali great and successful, why do you think they're going to come here and make America successful? How dare they come to America and make us assimilate to them? Now they're in office trying to shape the laws around their culture. Like, come on, get a grip of yourself, Democrats.
When I think about all of the accomplishment my people made in this country, whether it is scamming, whether it is achieving businesses the right way, the halal way, whether it is stealing from you directly, I don't think it's any of your business. Everything that we have is owed to us, is tied to us, is our benefit. And he say our country is poor and garbage and Somalis are garbage. How can you say we are garbage when you have cousins in Arkansas that live in $200 rent and they cannot even afford? I promise you, Minnesota Somalis, we are come in peace. We don't want nothing from you except maybe your money. How about that?
Okay, so the police are on their way, so hopefully they can take custody of them. Sir, do me a favor, put your hands where I can see them. Put your hands where I can see them, so you're not a threat to me, all right? Do you have a driver's license you can drive at all?
No,
Okay, is your mom or can somebody come and pick you all up?
they can't right now.
Do you have any family members, friends, or anybody that can come get you all?
Right now, not close to here. I cannot.
Anyone with a driver's license?
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right. So in today's episode, you're going to be talking about how the Somali trouble in America keeps on getting deeper and deeper. And while you might want to sympathize with them, it's getting very difficult to defend them because a lot of people from their community are coming forward and showing total ignorance and arrogance. While some of them are making jokes to cope with these situations, others just plain and simple talk down on Americans.
Right. And you know, the biggest thing about what they're saying about Minneapolis is, about Minnesota is, there's a particular generation of Somali Americans who will grow up genuinely thinking that Minnesota was a promised land to them. And this is a thing that can bring a deep conflict between Americans and Somalis. So the biggest question we are asking today is, how do people move on from here?
Right, guys, let's watch what we've prepared for you and then we come back and talk about it. Also, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section, and we'll consider subscribing if it's your first time here, and we'll come back with our commentaries. Let's watch.
So you hate Somalis and you want all of them deported because a small group of Somalis who were led by a white woman scammed the US government of millions of US dollars. Yet you all went to watch Wolf of Wall Street and Catch Me If You Can, both played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Two movies glorifying fraud in the US government and stealing millions of dollars. Yeah, that don't make no sense to me.
This Somalian lays out everything about the scams that's going on in the Somalian community.
There are truth we have not been saying out loud. Number one, go to Somali malls. Cash only, no receipts. That's sus. We gotta say that out loud. Number two, Somali tax accountants. They say, oh, you have no taxes today. That's sus. We gotta call that out. What? Yeah, Somali trucking companies cutting corners. That's sus. Let's not do that. Appreciate that. Let me keep going. Yeah, helping each other lie on forms. Like it's some sort of community service we're doing to each other. What? Yeah, and recently I just saw a Somali sheriff, police officer, saying that he only serves the Somali community. What?
A culture of scamming. He said it, not me. Your boy said it. So he just walked us through it, right? They cook in the books, line on the taxes. It makes sense because they only accept cash only, so they could play with the numbers. Like there's nothing to document the transactions that's happening at these stores. Then he's exposing what's going on in Minnesota with the falsifying the documentations. Oh, we help each other lie on these documents. He said that, and the trucking business that they have going on. And these scams are not just only happening in Minnesota, but nationwide. You look at Columbus, Ohio is one, Maine recently, and then he pulled in the law enforcement, which is interesting because you have these people, once they get into positions of power, they're not going to check each other, right? They're not going to check each other like, oh, let's slide that through. So he's trying to hold his community accountable But that's just one person.
Somalia and United States is the same to me. It's home.
This is Little Mogadishu, Minneapolis, the unofficial capital of the 100,000 plus Somalis that have made Minnesota their home. But
the president says he doesn't want any Somalis living in the U.S. after a few dozen were implicated in a COVID relief fraud case.
Ripped off that state for billions of dollars. Their country is no good for a reason.
how deep does this fraud rabbit hole go?
We're told it gets up potentially $8 billion here in the States.
78 people have been charged at this point. 77 of them are small.
What are your thoughts on some of the fraud? Have you heard about that?
Of course, I heard that, my friend. But to me, those cases is individual person.
I've been in America 27 years. I have my own business. I have my own family. I never have any problems.
I've been working all my life hard. I fled Somalia when I was like 14, I think.
14, okay.
Yeah.
Senator Omar Fattah ended up coming out publicly and advocating for the Somali community. It continues on, and 300 million down the line later, we continue with the fraud.
Is life easier in Somalia or Minneapolis?
For me, it's almost the same. I go back and forth, every year.
So Trump says he's going to Minnesota to round up the Somalis now, and so expands what the Brennan Center calls the deportation industrial complex. Did you ever wonder who's benefiting the most from all these ICE raids? Well, we all know that this corrupt administration is fueled by the profit motive, first and foremost, and that big ugly bill that they pushed through this summer gave them the keys to the kingdom. Now, keep in mind, this is not monopoly money. These are your tax dollars being spent to kidnap, detain, and terrorize people while throwing out due process, which is a constitutional right. Be prepared to be pissed. Now, the big ugly bill allocated $170 billion of your money to be used for immigration and border enforcement. And remember, Trump filed appeal after appeal to avoid having to pay SNAP benefits this fall because we supposedly couldn't afford it. Well, $75 billion of that big ugly bill money was earmarked specifically for ICE. And in addition to paying masked thugs massive signing bonuses and annual salaries to terrorize black and brown people, there are a lot of private companies that are experiencing a windfall by signing lucrative contracts with ICE. Now, we talked about the private detention companies Core Civic and Geo Group in a previous video, but they are far from the only private companies that have decided to cast their lot with ICE. Who else is on that list? I'm glad you asked. Up first is Palantir, Peter Thiel's company. They've got $88.1 million in ICE contracts. They're a surveillance company that's helping ICE to monitor people's locations in near real time. Next is Dell Federal Systems, and yes, they are a subsidiary of that Dell. They've got $20 million in ICE contracts. Thomson Reuters Special Services, owned by Thomson Reuters, who also owns Reuters News, has $19.7 million in IT contracts with ICE. And Charter Communications, AT&T, and Comcast all have contracts with ICE to provide IT services. Deloitte Counseling, owned by Deloitte & Touche, has a $132.4 million contract to provide everything from accounting services to PR to program management and evaluation. Ernst & Young has ICE contracts worth $10.3 million. And there are tons of other companies providing ICE with everything from tasers to IT support to video recording equipment to weapons. It really does take a village. If you're as disgusted by all of this as I am, firstly, share this video to help increase awareness of how the profit motive is driving this whole farce. Then go to the link in my bio or in the comments to sign the petition to get ICE off our streets. Over 10,000 of you have signed this petition already. The more signatures we get, the more likely that decision makers are to see it.
Now, as somebody who used to live in Minnesota, I can tell you right now, Somalians are there for birthright citizenship. If you guys weren't aware, the Somalians have come to claim their birthright citizenship. Now, as you guys already know, the Trump administration has initiated their ICE raids in Minnesota, but the Somalians are fighting back. Now, according to CBS News, where you can pause to read this, the Trump administration is attempting to have ICE raids in Minnesota and are checking the green card holders of Somalian residents who live there. And little does the Trump administration know that the mass majority of Somalians who live in Minnesota are U.S. citizens. And every year, sometime around this year, apparently they do their pilgrimage to the Target Center. And based off of the rhetoric of the Somalians across social media, they're stating that although the Trump administration has implemented these ICE raids, they are willing to work with him to do a two-state solution. I'm not entirely sure why Donald Trump thought that this was going to be easy pickings with Somalians in Minnesota. I'm not entirely sure why he thought that. But little does he know that being that Somalians, their birthright is Minnesota, they're going to fight to the very end for their land. Because isn't that what you're supposed to do when you're being hostily invaded? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Actually, we want to tell the president we're not a garbage. Actually, we smell really good.
It's a sentiment many in the Somali community are feeling on Wednesday, the wake of recent comments from the president. Fox 9 talked to a business owner inside Carmel Mall, which many Somalis consider the heart of the community. The past 24 hours have been difficult.
My great grandfather come here a long time ago. My tribe is, Darod. So Darod, we had to come to Minnesota to colonize and save the Dakota people, D&D. It was really written in the Bible. So Minnesota's existence and its right to exist in Minnesota, because the Somalis to exist in Minnesota, because we have been here, it's in our blood, it's in our DNA. When I think about all of the accomplishment my people made in this country, whether it is scamming, whether it is achieving businesses the right way, the halal way, whether it is stealing from you directly, I don't think it's any of your business. Everything that we have is owed to us, is tied to us, is our benefit. When he say our country is boring and garbage and Somalis are garbage, how can you say we are garbage when you have cousins in Arkansas that live in $200 rent and they cannot even afford? Original Viking, that was us. It was a story inspired by us, I promise you. Even go talk to the Norwegian people, the Swedish people will tell you the same thing. Viking original is skin color and everything is wrong. The depiction is a real Somali man, Viking. I promise you. Minnesota Somalis, we are come in peace. We don't want nothing from you except maybe your money. How about that? Maybe we do want a lot of your money, to be honest with you.
We're going to continue to follow that development as well. For now, live in Minneapolis, Leon Purvis, Fox.
70,000, 80,000 Somalis sent to Minnesota so they could vote in Ilhan Omar.
Why are you lying for no reason? Those 80k people that you're talking about, they're just doing birthright visit for the Holy Land, the promised land of Minnesota. Those 80k you're talking about are just doing birthright visit. I don't know what you're trying to say. You know, this land was promised to them. This land is a holy land for the Somalis. According to Matthew 6:7, it literally says it's obligatory for every Somali to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota and touch the holy walls. Look at this. Look at this picture. This picture is the holy walls of Minneapolis. Every Somali has to go there and touch it for them to go to their paradise. Blessed are Somalis, for I have chosen them. Verse 42. I'm telling you right now, I don't know what you're trying to push. You know, you man can hate on the Somalis, but at the end of the day, this land was promised for them. Twitterka waxa Soomaalida ay cadaanki waxa ma ilaahay iimaanka qad waa Kenyaati baaladii bantu fuufooda unsina calaabudka warka balaade armar dambaan naqlo liita unsurnimada George wallahi the biggest unsurs anaga markan caayan waa caadi anaga markan caayan unsuri wana nice try.
Yo, Minnesota was promised to us Somalis 3,000 years ago. And if you disagree, you're an anti-Kushite bigot and you need help immediately. Also, if you read Genesis 12:3, it says that those who bless Somalis will be blessed, and those who try to harm them will bring harm upon themselves. I didn't say that. Genesis 12:3. Just saying.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section, yeah? One thing I have to say is the fact that much as jokes really can be taken seriously, and in every joke there has to be something that is very true to make it funny, or there has to be something that has to be true for some people to relate with. And why am I saying this? Is because the kind of jokes Somalis are making on the internet, we can even talk about the lady with the hijab who was talking and she was talking and showcasing her passport around. I feel like Somalis must be knowing something for them to be this confident, because even Latinos, they are not on the internet doing this. I feel like Trump worked on Latinos so much that even there wasn't no room for jokes from their own community. But when you're looking at Somali community, they're taking this whole thing differently, and for them, they're even coming out and those ones who are showcasing arrogance. And I'm telling myself, there was one who was talking about how Americans are living on $200 properties and they can't even afford their lifestyle. And I was like, that felt like she was talking down on Americans, being that she was in America. So do you think that setting up a job or business and succeeding in America, do you think that is by your own doing?
Right, and also another thing, here in Kenya, there's something that someone mentioned, one of our speakers, and they said that businesses that Somalis open most of the time, he suspects that they're using it to wash money or for money laundering or for fraud, right? And his case, he stated, is because when he has visited Somali shops, they often deal in cash. And I do believe that he's saying the truth, because even here in Kenya, most Somalis who operate businesses, especially in a place called Isili, most of them usually prefer to deal in cash, you know. So my biggest question is there something that's going on in these businesses, or is there something that people are not seeing?
Right, guys, because this is not a coincidence, and I feel like this should be investigated, because if it's happening here in Kenya, it's happening in America, it's happening wherever you might find the Somali community. Something needs to be studied, something needs to be done, because the country of Somalis is not reflective of whatever kind of money they're making, and these people are generating a great amount of income. You know, it's $1 billion, like the one who was accused of an $8 billion fraud. $8 billion is a lot of money, especially if it's coming in terms of dollars. That's a lot of money. What are they doing with this money? What's their intention? These are things that needs to be looked at. At some point, I feel like the president is not so what is it called? He's not just paranoid. Yeah, is the word I was looking for. I don't feel like he's paranoid. But there has to be some truth in what he is saying, you know.
But I believe the reason why most people have taken to his message in the wrong way, of which I do agree 100%, is the wording of his messages and how he's trying to bring hate between people of different races and color towards Somalis. And that is the reason why people are not so willing to take whatever he's trying to say about the Somalis. There's something the government knows, and there's something the Somali community knows, that we here in the middle are not seeing both
because
pictures.
They're very confident for a minority group that is being picked on by the government, but they're very confident, you know. And I have to say, like, when you're looking at all these things, as Maureen said, something is really not adding up, because a lot of them have citizenship, just a few number. And when you look at the people who've been caught in that $1 billion fraud, and the people who are defrauding the, you know, feeding program for children, when you look at them, it is said that a white woman was the one who was in charge of all that heist. And I'm like, so if Somalis had a leader, and the leader was a white woman, why am I just hearing about this right now? Maybe I was the one who didn't look for that information, or maybe the information got me late. But it was a white woman all along who was heading this whole program. And I'm like, why did people not talk about that so much? Why didn't Trump mention that so much?
Right, because in all of this scandal that has broken, we have seen people going down heavily on the Somali community. And our biggest question today is, just as we've learned today that the person in charge of all this operation might be allegedly a white woman. So our question is, why was her name not dropped alongside the ones of the Somali community? Was this an attempt to bring a rage bait of races or what? And would Americans still have reacted the same had they known that it wasn't only the Somalis, but Somalis alongside a white woman who are defrauding the government? Because, you know, sometimes they usually say, if someone comes into your home and takes advantage of your system or steals from your home, they have to be in collaboration with someone who has actually lived in that house to know where the computer is, to know where the heating kettle is, in order for them to steal that heating kettle. Or else they won't have the roadmap to how your house works. You get what I'm saying?
Right. And there's a woman who was talking about how when you trace all these ICE raids and everything, all these operations and the deportation centers that are being set up in America, she was talking about, if you trace them, there's somebody or there's corporations that are benefiting from this. And when you look at
billionaires on top of already the millions they have.
Exactly. And when you look at President Trump's term, there they're really focused on, working on immigrants. And I'm asking myself, because I felt like she was making a lot of sense, and I'm asking myself, why is it that things like SNAP benefit, things that actually help the homegrown Americans and people who really need that help in America, why can't they move an arm and a leg to find funds to help the citizens? But
the same way they're moving an arm and a leg to fund ICE in order to get immigrants, So just as Maren said, I do believe that there's someone on top of all these ICE raids who's getting a lot of money from it, because right now, have you ever heard in a case where judges usually falsely imprison people? Their main motive is usually to fill up beds in prisons. I don't know why this is kind of giving the same vibe with the ICE raids and just waking up one morning and targeting a certain community. You wake up the next morning, you target another community. My biggest question is, when will the white non-American immigrants be gotten?
Right, but it's not to say that the Somali are not at fault, because this has also exposed the community for what was happening, for what was they were doing wrong in America. But the question still remains: how is America going to look like after all this is said and done? After the dust settles, like how is the country going to get back? Because a lot of things has been done, a lot of policies have been made, a lot of laws have been undone, so I don't know. I guess it's a wait and see, and we just have to wait until President Trump's term is done, so that we can know how the country will look like,
Right, and most importantly, when it comes to the Somalis, I think they've behaved in a way that nobody expected, because first, in a situation like this where you're not only facing racism but also xenophobia, and you've been exposed for fraud, someone would expect a little humility coming from your community. But this exposed a big part of Somalian people, which is arrogance, and them thinking they're better than others.
They're untouchable. They think they're untouchable.
Right? It has also exposed that side of them, with some even thinking they're not black, but black, they're just dark Caucasians. Anyway, let's just wait and see how the Somali community will revive or come back from this, and will they be able to mend their relationships with other Americans after doing what they have done? Let's just wait and see. Guys, let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.